ships at his disposal, though some ancient sources claim even more. His mission was simple: finish what Xerxes started and bring Greece to its knees. The Persians occupied central Greece throughout the winter of 480 to 479 BC. They controlled Thebes, which had sided with them. They had cavalry, archers, and seasoned infantry. Mardonius even tried diplomacy, offering the Athenians generous terms if they would switch sides. The Athenians refused. They knew what Persian rule meant, and they weren't interested. The Greeks faced a desperate situation. Their cities were divided, their armies were scattered, but they managed to pull together a coalition force. At its core were the Spartans, sending out their full strength of hoplites along with their helot servants who fought as light infantry. The Athenians contributed around 8,000 men. Smaller contingents came from Corinth, Megara, and other city-states. Command fell to Pausanias, the Spartan regent. He was young, probably in his 20s, acting as regent for his cousin who was too young to rule. Nobody expected him to be a military genius, but he understood Spartan warfare, and he understood the stakes. The battlefield itself played a crucial role. Plataea sits in Boeotia, near the border with Attica. The area features rolling hills, a river called the Asopus, and relatively open ground. This terrain favored the heavily armored Greek hoplites over the lighter Persian infantry, but it also gave the Persian cavalry room to operate. The Greeks initially took position on the slopes of Mount Cithaeron, which gave them high ground and protection from cavalry charges. The Persians camped on the other side of the Asopus River. For days, neither side wanted to attack. Mardonius didn't want to assault uphill into prepared positions. Pausanias didn't want to come down and face the Persian cavalry on open ground. This standoff lasted nearly 2 weeks. Both armies were massive, and feeding them became a nightmare. The Persians had supply lines, but they were vulnerable. The Greeks depended on convoys coming through the mountain passes. Mardonius sent his cavalry to raid these supply lines, and they had some success, cutting off Greek provisions and even destroying one major convoy. The Greeks were getting desperate. Their position was strong defensively, but they couldn't stay there forever without food. Pausanias made the difficult decision to withdraw during the night to a position closer to Plataea itself, where they could better protect their supply routes. Here's where things got messy. Moving an army of 40,000 or more men in the darkness is chaos under the best circumstances. The Greek withdrawal turned into a confused mess. Different contingents got separated. Some units ended up in the wrong positions. The Athenians and Spartans, the two strongest components of the army, ended up split apart with significant distance between them. Dawn broke on what would be the day of battle. Mardonius saw the Greek army scattered and disorganized. This was his moment. The disciplined formation the Greeks relied on had broken down. Their flanks were exposed. He ordered an immediate attack. The Persians came on fast. Mardonius threw his cavalry forward first, harassing the Greeks and preventing them from reforming properly. Then came the infantry, advancing behind a wall of wicker shields that could stop arrows, but wouldn't hold against a determined hoplite charge. The Spartans found themselves bearing the brunt of the attack. Roughly 10,000 Spartan hoplites and their helot light troops faced down perhaps 40,000 Persians in their sector. The Athenians were too far away to help immediately. Other Greek contingents were scattered or pinned down by secondary Persian forces. This is where Spartan training proved its worth. These men had drilled since childhood. They knew how to fight in the phalanx formation, even under pressure. As the Persians closed in, the Spartans locked shields, leveled spears, and held their ground. The Persian infantry crashed into the Spartan line like a wave hitting a cliff. The Persians were brave, no question about that. They pushed forward, shooting arrows, throwing spears, trying to break through. But the Spartan phalanx was nearly impenetrable. 8 feet tall with overlapping shields and multiple ranks of spears, it was designed specifically for this kind of fighting. The Persians couldn't match the Greeks in close combat. Their armor was lighter, their weapons were shorter. When it came down to pushing and stabbing in tight formation, the heavily armored hoplites dominated. The front ranks of Persians fell, and those behind stumbled over the bodies. Mardonius himself rode into the thick of the fighting, trying to rally his troops. This was both brave and foolish. A Persian general on horseback made an excellent target, and the Spartans knew it. Accounts differ on exactly who killed him, but the result was clear. Mardonius went down, probably from a thrown spear or a well-aimed stone. His death broke the Persian attack. Ancient armies often depended on their commanders to maintain cohesion. When the leader fell, especially in the heat of battle, armies could collapse. That's exactly what happened here. The Persian center, which had been fighting fiercely, began to waver. Meanwhile, the Athenians had been dealing with the Thebans and other Greek forces fighting for Persia. These were tough opponents who understood hoplite warfare. But when news spread that Mardonius had fallen and the Persian center was breaking, everything changed. The Persians began to retreat. Retreat turned into flight. Flight became a rout. The Persian army, which had started the day with overwhelming numbers and confidence, was now running for their lives. They fled back to their fortified camp, a wooden stockade they had built earlier. The Greeks pursued. The Spartans, Athenians, and other contingents converged on the Persian camp. The defenses were strong, but the defenders were demoralized. The Greeks broke through. What followed was brutal. Trapped inside their own fortifications, the Persians were slaughtered by the thousands. By the end of the day, Persian casualties were catastrophic. Ancient sources claim tens of thousands dead, though exact numbers are impossible to verify. What matters is that the Persian field army in Greece was destroyed. Survivors scattered. Many fled back toward Asia. Greek losses were significant but manageable. The Spartans lost around 90 men, an incredibly low number given the scale of the fighting. The Athenians and other contingents lost more, but nothing compared to the Persian disaster. Plataea marked the end of Persian attempts to conquer mainland Greece. Combined with the naval victory at Mycale on the same day, it secured Greek independence. The Persian Empire would remain powerful for another 150 years, but they would never again threaten Greece proper. The victory belonged to Greek discipline, superior armor, and better tactics for close quarters fighting. The Spartans demonstrated why they were considered the finest warriors in Greece. 10,000 men, properly trained and equipped, had stood firm against 7 times their number and won decisively. The Battle of Plataea doesn't get the same attention as Thermopylae or Marathon, but it was arguably more important. This was the battle that ended the Persian invasion once and for all. It proved that Greek heavy infantry, when properly led and positioned, could defeat larger forces, and it set the stage for the classical Greek civilization that would shape Western culture for millennia to come. Plataea, 479 BC. 70,000 Persian soldiers are about to attack a small Greek force. The Persians have better supplies, more men, and they've already burned Athens to the ground. The Greeks are outnumbered 7 to 1. Their army is scattered and running out of food. By every measure, they should lose. But by the end of the day, the Persian army will be destroyed and thousands will lie dead on the battlefield. So how did 10,000 Spartans beat an army 7 times their size? Let's back up for a moment. After the legendary stand at Thermopylae and the naval victory at Salamis, the Persians weren't done with Greece. King Xerxes returned home, but he left behind a massive army under General Mardonius, one of his most capable commanders. Mardonius had around 70,000 troops at his disposal, though some ancient sources claim even more. His mission was simple: finish what Xerxes started and bring Greece to its knees. The Persians occupied central Greece throughout the winter of 480 to 479 BC. They controlled Thebes, which had sided with them. They had cavalry, archers, and seasoned infantry. Mardonius even tried diplomacy, offering the Athenians generous terms if they would switch sides. The Athenians refused. They knew what Persian rule meant, and they weren't interested. The Greeks faced a desperate situation. Their cities were divided, their armies were scattered, but they managed to pull together a coalition force. At its core were the Spartans, sending out their full strength of hoplites along with their helot servants who fought as light infantry. The Athenians contributed around 8,000 men. Smaller contingents came from Corinth, Megara, and other city-states. Command fell to Pausanias, the Spartan regent. He was young, probably in his 20s, acting as regent for his cousin who was too young to rule. Nobody expected him to be a military genius, but he understood Spartan warfare, and he understood the stakes. The battlefield itself played a crucial role. Plataea sits in Boeotia, near the border with Attica. The area